Alrighty, good morning. I'm Dr. Alice Christie, and I'm a lifelong learner and a long-term educator. And I'd like to share with you this morning a little bit about GoogleTreks. So I'm going to go to screen share, and we're going to go right here. Um, and right. So this is our session on GoogleTreks, and I'd like to welcome you. And I am broadcasting from beautiful Flagstaff, Arizona on May the 9th, 2015. And this is the scene that awaited me this morning. We had snow all night long. So here's my herb garden and the beautiful San Francisco peaks. Please tell me about you. Either type this URL into another window in your browser, or use a QR code reader and go ahead out to this form and fill it in. I'll go and just check that we're getting. That's what it should look like. And let's see if we're getting any responses yet. Yes. So welcome, Sonia, Julie, Jennifer, Nicole, and so forth. Thank you so much. And where do we have people coming from? Rio de Janeiro, Brazil, Ontario, Canada, California, the Philippines, Minnesota, California, Colorado. Wow, this is very exciting news. All right. So I'll flip back to that once in a while to if we have latecomers. And now what I'd like to do is go right out to the web where I have most of my presentation. But this will be live. And so all sorts of other resources that we haven't talked about are going to be available to you in the presentation. So I'm going to go out, and this is the website where all the information that I have for you is available. So I'd like to begin with a short little video, and it's 1 minute long, and I am very hopeful you'll be able to see it. All right. I certainly hope that you were able to see that video. And if you are not, you can get to it a little bit later. So first of all, let's go ahead out to the GoogleTreks site. And what I wanted to do was to create a way for teachers and students to have a web-based instructional unit or a way to share their knowledge, where teachers or students could bring in graphs, charts, video, audio, primary source material, so that time on task was increased and engagement in learning was also increased. And so this is the GoogleTreks site. you are able to look at a tutorial, you're able to look at a rubric, and then it's also a repository. So if I click on science, for example, here are all of the GoogleTreks sites that have, all of these are created by teachers. I do have a section down at the bottom where I have student created treks, and we'll be looking at those in just a moment. Um, so what we want to do is get to ah, great. Look at all these new people that we have. Someone from Nevada, someone from Serbia, Texas. So we have over 40 people joining us right now. So here we are going out live to the site that I was chatting with you about. So I think the first thing that I want to do is look at an example of a teacher-created trek, and then show you all of the different tools that this teacher incorporated into the trek. So we're using a huge number of Web 2.0 tools within the trek itself. So this is called Deepwater Horizon Oil Spill. It was about the terrible oil spill that we had several summers ago. And if you folks have followed the development of Google Maps, Classic Maps is no longer available. We're now in the new maps, which have many, many different new features. But some of the old features have disappeared just a touch. So for example, anything that was created in the old maps now just simply says untitled layer. If you're creating a new, you can give that a name. So this is what a Google map, a Google Trek would look like. So we're going to start with our introduction to our student. And it's going to zoom into your pushpin and give your students an introduction that they're going to be learning more about the oil spill and what their journey will look like. And they're asked to keep an electronic notebook where they're going to keep all of their lab notes in one place. The great thing about Google Maps is that when you click on a link, it opens in a new tab. So I will simply close that tab and I'm right back to where I started. Now, the students are going to be introduced through an Animoto video that was created by the teacher. I want to warn you that this is fairly intense, but very short. So this is designed for seventh graders to get them into an understanding. So following this, that you might lead a discussion. What can we tell about the oil spill from this? Now we're going to move on to our second stop in our Google Trek, and students are asked to watch a video and then write in their lab notebook. Probably this third is the most important step for the student. Here they're going to learn what their final product is going to look like. They're going to create a Prezi. They're then going to plan this using their lab notebook and Glyphy, which is a mind mapping tool that will allow them to diagram their understanding of what they've learned. They're going to create a word cloud, and they're going to use Tagxedo to do it, and they're going to create a cube creator. So each one of these tools are different tools that the teacher has asked them to use. We can indeed give our kids choice about which of these tools we want, and then we're supporting them with all of these different sites where they might go and get information about the oil spill. Again, we can just click out. Now the teacher is providing the content area material that she wants her students to know about. My only concern with the new Google Maps is that instead of having a link embedded, the URL is showing. I would still prefer that the kids would be able to click right here on Deepwater Horizon Spill rather than the website. And here they're going to go out and get to the meat of their unit. So you, as a teacher, are the person who is going to do the searching. You're going to find material that is grade level appropriate, that is reading level appropriate, and you are going to direct your students to using this and provide them with scaffolding as to what you want them to learn through each of these. We go through many different push pins, and then, because teachers are the ones planning and not the audience, we typically put our information for our teacher at the very end. We have opportunities for adding exploratory information, information for kids who might finish more quickly and do some further research. And then finally, for teachers, we have a short description of the GoogleTreks and linkage to standards. I'm encouraging people to link to Common Core standards now rather than their state standards, but you can use whichever one seems most appropriate for you. So what we have discovered here is that as a educator, we want to get kids using as many tools as we want to incorporate. One of the ones that I like the best is the Google measuring tool. So this is just a short tutorial that I created. So I had the kids go out to the Strait of Gibraltar and had them zoom in and keeping on zooming in until they got to viewing several of the ships. And then we're able to use the ruler, and we can set it to whatever unit we would like. And so I'm saying, let's choose feet. And then we have the opportunity to measure this ship, and then the opportunity to measure the ship next to it. And then this is when you, as a teacher, would begin doing all sorts of questions about the relationship of the size of the two ships. So even though this was a science unit, you could bring in some mathematics into your unit by using that measuring tool and getting kids to think critically. And then this is just a list of other things that you could consider using the measuring tool to do. I saw a session earlier, which you might want to look at, on using maps to really get an understanding of data and seeing it visually. And certainly using the measuring tool is one way of doing that. Finding things like interactive maps oops, that one's no longer available. So that speaks to our need to keep our GoogleTreks up to date. Now, one other example, this is in social studies. And remember from the video, you heard that we can use GoogleTreks really in any grade level and in any content area level. And so let's go ahead out and look at this one. Here we have basically the Mediterranean area, and all of our push pins are located visually where this trek takes place. We start out with setting the scene, and I'm asking students to go out to a Padlet, and I'm asking them to go ahead and give me information about what they already know about modern Greece. So this was done in a junior social studies class, and all of the students contributed things that they knew about modern Greece. And then we went out to setting the scene part 2, and I wanted them to think about some terms. So I created a Wordle, and you just are going to click on this link to create the Wordle in a way that they can use it. So after they've just brainstormed about what they know about modern Greece, I'm going to provide them with some text about the Hellenistic age and who was important. It was called Alexander's Empire. We're focusing on Alexander the Great. But let's look at some of this: ambitious, defeat, culture, charisma, assassination, Mediterranean, battle, trade routes. And so they're going to view this, which is done in Wordle, and then they're going to go into EduCreations, which is an app that you can use on tablets, Chromebooks, iPhones, smartphones, and they're going to just brainstorm all the ideas that they gained from looking at this Wordle. So basically bringing out some of their past knowledge and getting them to think about some of this vocabulary. Then we're going to go out to some maps and graphics, which I found and brought into the Google Trek, and then I'm adding text. One of the most important things that I like to do in a Google Trek is model digital citizenship by citing all of my sources. So I'm citing where I got the pictures, and I'm citing where I got the textual information so that they can go right out here, and if they want more information, they can dig deeper and see where I got the information and locate further information. So citing the sources is one of the most important things that I like to do to model for my students what they need to be doing in their work. And then finally, after we have gone through this, we're going to go out and see a short Animoto video that I created, and then record our understandings in Bubble Us, which is a Web 2.0 tool. And since I showed you an Animoto movie before, I won't show you this one. We're going to go into the Hellenistic age, and here they can see the extent of the empire at various points of time, and the routes that Alexander the Great and his colleagues took. Here are specific questions that I want them to provide me the answers for. Some further background information. Again, questions and places they can locate the information. And then here, I want them to use the distance tool to measure the length of the empire at its longest. So I'm going to go ahead and make this a little bit smaller and move it over here. And so let's go back and look at this map, and we can see that it's going from a very extensive area, and we're going to try to locate that area and measure it right here. So I'm going to get my measurement tool, and I'm going to start, and I'm going to click about here, and I'm going to bring it down and bring it down. And this is sort of approximately where it went. And we can see that it extended approximately 2,600 miles. So I can also use this tool to, if we wanted to find out how long the Black Sea was, we can just measure the dimensions of the Black Sea. Another tool to use is the line tool, which allows you to measure area as well. So we want to look at all of the amazing built-in tools that we can incorporate into our GoogleTreks. And then you'll see all of these little arrows down here. This trek was designed so that all of these push pins in the top half were to be done as a whole group activity. And then all of these little green push pins down here are done as individual or small group activities. So that if this were my group, I am learning about Alexander as the bringer of culture. And I've got text and photos. I could be something about how he changed the world, or I could look at what his leadership skills were. So each of these students or small groups went out and did individual research and then became an expert on that area. And then they shared that information with the rest of their classmates. So let's go ahead and go back. So here are all of the tools that were incorporated: a Padlet, an Animoto, Bubble Us, which is simply a way of doing some brainstorming or leading a discussion group. Oopsie, pardon me, I just clicked out of my link right there. I use the Google distance and area tools, Wordle. The students needed to do, they had a choice of presenting their information as a mind map, as a Prezi, or a Google presentation. So each of these was one way that they could use to present their information. So what I'd like to do now is share a couple of student created GoogleTreks with you. The first is done by a fourth grader, and it is all about the Summer and Winter Olympics of the modern era. And so he began with Athens, Greece, and this was the first Olympics in our modern Olympics in 1896. He was able to locate a photo, and then he was able to find out a little bit more about the Olympics. Now, I think the most amazing thing, I'm going to go ahead and make this small for you. There we go. okay, is he actually created this in about 45 minutes. He found each of the cities and added the push pins. All of the Summer Olympics are found as a sun. Um, and this black indicates that the picture that he chose is no longer on the web. So that's something we always need to think about when we're creating our treks. So here he was able to locate the actual poster for the Olympics for that year and give you some information. And then all of the snowflakes are the winter Olympics that he was able to locate. And as you can see, many of his posters unfortunately have disappeared because he got them all from the same place, and that site is no longer available. So here we are looking at something that a fifth grader did in a 45-minute period of time. And later on, he went and added information. Now, one of the features that is missing from the new maps is when this was created. And I loved to show you this because he worked on this after school was out, and he started it as a fourth grader, and he still was working at it during the summer of his sixth grade year. So if we're trying to extend learning beyond the classroom walls to create anytime, anywhere learning, this is one of the amazing ways we can do it. And of course, within Google Maps, if you click on this little button at the bottom, you can change the different views in which you can see the maps. So you can make it whatever seems most appropriate for you. And so that was done by an individual student. Now let's go and look at a region in turmoil. This was done by an 8th grade humanities class. There were 48 students in the class. This Google Trek has been viewed over 14,000 times. So there were 48 students and 2 teachers all collaborating together on this map. And I just want to show you the extent of the map. Each of the children was required to add 3 push pins. And each of these push pins, they were to reference an article that they read and then give you a summary. So you can tell because you know, it's an 8th grade class and you have a wide variety of abilities. We're going to go and we're going to see some that are very nicely done and some that are not as well done. So here was the article that this student read, and then this was the summary that they wrote. And then we would have another. He is also called The Situation a Farce, run by trigger-happy young people. So kids, you know, sort of gave their own takes on some of these things. So you can see how each of these students was able to contribute. And occasionally they actually brought in a video, and usually those ones had excuse me, some of them actually brought the video right into their presentation, and many of them did not. But imagine the depth of understanding of these students who participated in this collaborative experience where they learned from one another, talked, really communicated the information that they had learned while studying this particular area. So I am just totally excited to have you understand the importance of letting kids create their Google Treks themselves. So I'm going to go out to the Google Treks site, which I got confused because I'm inside Google on air. So we're going to go fix that right now. And here we are. So what I'd like to just share with you right now is the fact that I have organized this by content area. So you can go into mathematics and find things in a number of different mathematics areas. My most extensive is social studies. And I think the reason for that is that it is very easy to take a social studies concept and show it geographically within a map. So you can see this is very, very extensive, as is language arts. And for example, a book like The K is done really beautifully within a map because we can actually see in the Caribbean. This book took place in Aruba and the two islands, and so we can go and move right in and look at those islands, and we can actually go and see a map of what that area looked like. Now, on the other hand, things like Joey Pigza Loses Control really don't have any relationship to anything geographic. And so basically, I am suggesting that teachers use Google Treks, use Google Maps to create an online unit, is that it's so easy to create an online unit. The learning curve is low. And what we might do is start, at the school where the students are located, and then have all of the different stops on the Google Trek just out in the ocean. So there is not an exact one-to-one correspondence between the geographical area and your Google Trek. But because it's free, teachers don't need a domain name. They don't need to get Google space to get web space. Everything is stored in the cloud. I think it's a great solution for you to create online units for your students. So back to how I have it organized by content level. I also have something called other curricular areas where we have art, music, health, PE, bicycling. I also have it organized by grade level so that if you want to look in a particular grade level, you can. And I have a few that are called adult. And then I have on the QT, which is not exactly a Google Trek because it is not linked to standards and the focus is not necessarily curricular. However, I used to live in the Phoenix area, and I realized that kids didn't really know very much about downtown Phoenix area. And so I created what I call a QT, which is a quick trek where kids can see what the downtown area looks like. So this would be an aerial view of the city. And then this would be our light rail. And this is the exact location where our first light rail started. The historic post office, the arena, things like this, just for them to get an idea about what each of these areas downtown looks like. So I call that a quick trek. Mary Clark saw my presentation a long time ago, and she did one about all the historic places in Weymouth, Massachusetts, where she lives. So a quick trek is like a Google Trek, but it lacks the linkage to standards. It's usually done very quickly in a one class period. It's not a complete unit like a Google Trek would be. Um, and then I wanted to show you the rubrics that you might use to evaluate a trek. And I seem to be frozen right now. So there we go. Okay. So here we have the rubric, and I started out with a rubric that I created for teachers, and it is also available for you as a one-page PDF. And so this is really a way to guide you in your creation of a Google Trek. All of the things that you want to be thinking about. Are you bringing in lots of multimedia? Are you using lots of Web 2.0 tools? Are you engaging the kids in active learning? Are you doing your copyright notices? Is your font appropriate for your grade level? So this is a guide, but it's also something that I'd like you to use before you would then submit the site to me. I then simplified it and created one for kids, which includes most of the same information, but I simply have 3 levels of novice and developing and exemplary, as you can see. So those are found here. I also have tutorials. This is tutorials for classic maps, and I have recently added the tutorial for new maps that you can find. So there are all sorts of opportunities for you to explore. The final thing I want to talk to you about is posting your Google Trek. So after you've created a trek, or your students have created a trek, and I'm really interested in building my repository, but especially interested in building the student created part of the site. You're going to use the rubric to evaluate your site, and then you're going to send the URL for your Google Trek to me, and I'll put my contact information up at the very end. Now I am going to open one more site, and that is maps.google.com. And here you are, and I'm in Flagstaff, so it's showing me Arizona. If you were going to create a map, you're going to go to My Maps, and you can see all your maps, or you can say create. And so if I go out to this one, I can open it in the original if I want to, but I need to get the actual link, and that's what you want to send me, not just the general Google Maps URL. So let's look at how I can change this to get a more realistic view of what the Earth might look like. If I want to extend it, I can also go ahead and say, show me some actual pictures taken in this area. So there are so many ways of extending that. So what I'd like to do is stop sharing my screen now and see if there are questions. I'm going to go to stop and come on back, and here I am. And let's see, I've got to figure out where I find my questions that you may have written to me. And I think I need to go to a slightly different place. Let me go here and here. Okay, here I can find your questions. and I will go live and come on down here. Okay. Oh, now you're, I'm gonna, okay, you're probably getting an echo. So I'm gonna, all right, I think I'm back. There were lots of questions, and there we are. I will post a question and answer. So go to where it says, look at the material, and I will answer all of your questions. A few that I saw, yes, you can put in audio. Yes, you can put in video. So you can do primary source, speeches, songs, video. So if you're about to study the Wright brothers and their first flight, you can put in a video. You can find all about the geography of the area. You can put in charts, graphs. You can link to interactive maps. You can link to Google Trends. You can link to Google Docs. So if you want to have a worksheet that accompanies your GoogleTrek, you just create it in Docs and link to it. Then the students save it in their drive, and then they can do their presentation that way. They can collaborate. To create collaborators in Google Maps, you invite them. So if I want to collaborate with another teacher, I invite that teacher. But more importantly, what I do with students is I usually create the map myself so that I am one of the collaborators. Actually, I am the owner. And then I invite 3 or 4 students that I want to collaborate together, and then they can all work together, adding whatever they want to do, and then share that link. Then one thing that I do at the very end is I make a new Google map in which I make links to all of my student projects. So that is really exciting. So what I want to do now is go back and share my screen and go to give you my contact information. And that's so all of this is a summary of some stuff, but it's a lot of stuff that we did not see and talk about today. But this is my email and my GoogleTreks page and my regular website, which has lots and lots of information. So I appreciate you all joining me today, and encourage you to email me with any questions you might have. One of the things that I love to do is come to schools and do consulting work and teach you how to create these, use these to bring more rigor to your curriculum, to provide more student engagement for your students, and to use technology tools much more extensively. So I am out of time. Thanks again. Have a great day. And I'll stop my screen sharing and bid you all adieu. Okay, have a great day. My timer just went off. I guess I'm right on time. Bye-bye.